Hey guys, Becky here with Design Bundles, and I'm super excited to have you join me today because we have a really cute paper crafting project for you. And what are we talking about? Making your own explosion boxes. Alright guys, so here we go. So I am in Silhouette Studio, but you can do the same thing in Cricut Design Space or other designing software, okay? I know I tell you guys that a lot, but I really do mean it. A lot of the techniques that I show in the videos, they can easily be done in another software. So I just feel like, sometimes everybody gets a little confused. Maybe you're not using Silhouette Studio, but if you really just look at the fundamentals, they can be done. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open an existing file that I purchased from Design Bundles, okay? So File and Merge and my Downloads folder. So this is an explosion box file, and there are minor modifications that I'm making, not because they necessarily need to be made, but just because of the fact that I'm adding extra elements, and you'll see what those are. So we'll start with the small, and we're going to open the SVG document. And do the same thing, and we will go to the medium. And again, we want not the lid, we just want the medium base SVG document. And then we will go to the large, and we do want the large base SVG, and then we also want the large base lid. All right, so let's take a look at what we have here. This is our large base. It's the large base lid. These are going to be cut in white cover stock. And then we have, oh, you know what? I'm leaving behind the score lines. Okay, let's not do that. So I'm going to hold down the Shift key and make sure I get everything and group it together. And same thing here. So if you're importing these one by one, you can do that as you're importing if you want to. I'm just going to do it as I'm separating these out. Go ahead and group these together. And now the small file came with the lid already. We don't need it, so we'll just delete it out. And then I want to take all three of my, we'll just call them bases, all three of the bases. We're going to center them together and center them to page. So we need to play with our layers. I'm going to send back. There we go. If you want, we can go ahead. Let's change these to different colors just so you can actually see the colors that we're working with, okay? All right, so we have 3 different layers here. Now, one thing that I'm going to do is I will actually make these just a tad larger. The reason I say that is I really want these to just nest in really well. Now, you notice I'm not actually affecting the base, like the green base, just dragging those little handles out. And then I'm going to do the same with the yellow. And this is not an exact science. These don't have to be like some exact size, okay? We're just making them a little bigger. And then last but not least, I'm going to create a duplicate. And let's make this a little bit different color. We'll do purple. And we're going to make it just a tiny bit smaller. Okay, see what we're working with here? So we have these individual files. They're all nested together. I can make the yellow one a tad bigger. Okay, and basically it's going to work its way from smallest to largest. And this is a pretty good representation of what it's going to look like when we start putting it together. And then, of course, the large lid stays the same because we left the large base the same size. And I just filled it in the same as the base. That way, whenever I'm cutting them, I'll know that they go together. Okay? Now, the other thing that I'm going to do, let's get these. So these will be cut. The pink, yellow, and purple are going to be cut out of patterned paper or patterned cardstock, whatever you prefer. I'm using just patterned paper. But the other thing that I want to do is because I have white cover stock, I want to be able to cut pattern paper that matches the size of this box, okay? So I'm holding down my Shift key as I'm drawing this box to make sure that it stays square. So 3.605. So if you're following along and you download this file, then know that I am drawing this square 3.605. And I will want 4 of those. I'm just kidding. I will want 8 of those. Okay. We're going to put these together. It's going to make more sense. But of that exact square, I want 8 of those. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the lid. If this part is confusing for you, if you're not sure why I'm drawing these, that's okay. Just go ahead and wait until we get to the assembly part and it'll make sense. Now this I am drawing so that it will cover the side flap of my lid, and it looks like it is 1.076 inches wide, 3.861 inches high. Okay, again, I will want 4 of those. And last but not least, I need to measure out the inside of the top of my lid here. You'll notice I'm getting pretty close to, and I'm holding down the shift key again, but I'm getting pretty close to the edges. I promise you really do want to, let's see, we're looking at about 3.9 inches here. But you do want to get close like that because you really don't want a thick white border. Because I'm using white cover board, you don't want a thick white border. All right, so now let's get to talking about lining this up. Now, when we cut the cover board, we're going to cut this part here. Let's line it up in the middle. We will cut this, and then I'm going to move it down. And then I will cut this part here, and I will move it down. Okay, those are 2 individual pieces. They're going to be cut on their own pieces of cover stock. Next, I need to decide, whatever color I'm going to use. I'm going to use these smaller ones here, and then I am going to line up these squares. That way, I'm fully utilizing this piece of pattern paper here. Because that is what I want to do, I'm drawing these squares because I want to be able to add them onto my cover board so I don't have just the regular plain white. All right, so I will select all of these. Now, because the boxes are transparent, you have to make sure you click on the red line. Let's go ahead and group those together, and we will just center them to page. I just like everything centered. Group everything together, and that will be what we cut out of one of the pattern paper. Okay, so we will cut that, and we'll talk about cut settings, but we'll slide that down. So next, let's get the yellow, go ahead and center the page. Do the same thing. These do not have to be exact. I am using the little guides that populate in Silhouette Studio just to kind of get them, I'm trying to line them up well. Holding down my shift key, clicking on the red line, group those together, center the page, hold down the shift, click on the middle, group that together. We'll go ahead and just turn it all yellow. Okay, that will be pattern paper number 2. Now I saved this one for last because it's larger, and I'm not going to center it to page. I'm going to move it over here. And what I'm going to do is I only need, this box is larger than the other box, guys. That's why I am arranging it this way. But I'm going to space these out a little bit, but I don't want them cutting right on top of each other. And I'm actually just going to group these in 2 by 2. That'll make sense in just a minute. This one will go over here. This one will get rotated 90 degrees. And it will go over here. Now, same thing, hold down the shift key, get all these new pieces. I just like for everything to be color coordinated, guys, because that is just how I organize things in my brain. So we're going to group all this together. Okay. So basically, just to recap, I took what was, this was already labeled as an explosion box file. It had all the basic pieces, all right? I only went in and added the squares so that we could cover our box in the same pattern paper that we're gonna line on the inside. So if you have really pretty double-sided cardstock, You don't have to do that part, okay? But I'm showing you how I create my explosion boxes because I don't keep a lot of patterned cardstock on hand. Let's face it, guys, anytime I buy really good quality patterned cardstock, it's never in the pattern that I need to use. So I like when I can just buy plain white and then go ahead and coordinate and use the pattern papers because I can either print them myself. Yes, you heard that right. I could print these myself, or I can just get the cheaper pattern paper and use it. Now, like I said, these two down here are going to be cover stock. All three of these and these colors are going to be in pattern paper. So let's take a look again. Remember what I said we were going to do. I can just center the page. Let's click over to the send panel. All of these are set to cut. So what I will do is I will come here. In my presets, I have a cover stock preset. There we go. Cover stock, heavy, 105 pound to 122 pound. And what I will actually do is I'm going to change, I will use my ratchet blade and just cut this from the cover stock using the preset. Now let's zoom out. Let's make this super easy. We're going to move this down. While I have my cover stock preset set, I will move this up and I will cut this using my cover stock preset. Okay, then I will move it down. I do that. So that's the workflow that I follow. When I'm done cutting, I move it to the bottom. So this one here, same thing. Just move it to the middle of the page. Make sure it's, it don't have to be a line, but just make sure it's all on there. Now we're going to change. My pattern paper is actually the same thickness as regular copy paper. So that's what I cut on. Okay, so change your preset to copy paper. But guys, I'm telling you the presets that I'm using, but always remember when you're working with a new material or you've switched your blade or maybe you haven't cut paper in a while, do a test cut, okay? You will not be sorry. So we'll move this down, move this one here. Now, each time that it gets done cutting, I'm loading a new pattern, okay? So that's what I'll do is I will move this over, run over to my machine, load the new pattern, come back and hit send. And this will be the last piece. We'll load it on there, hit send. I'll make sure to have loaded the next sheet, move this down to the bottom, and now I'm done. And while it takes a minute to get through because you're talking about cutting 5 different mats, these are actually pretty fast cuts. They're not super intricate. So really simple and easy in my opinion. And then guys, you can save this file to use again and again in the future because this is just the very basics of using the explosion box. So you'll be able to add different elements, use different patterns, and really change it up. So I have already cut this. So what I'm going to do is head on over to the workstation and you guys will see the cutting process and then we will go through the process of putting it together. All right, guys, so this is one of the cutest things that you are gonna see in a long time. I mean, in my opinion. So you saw me cut all these shapes out, and I'll go through them one by one, but guys, we're also gonna bring this guy back. Do you remember when we did the tutorial on making this with the craft mesh? All right, so we're gonna bring that guy back and it's absolutely gonna be perfect for this project. So what I have, and guys, so this is just cheapy pattern paper. It's one-sided. It's just what I have on hand. And I just wanted to say that if you have double-sided cardstock or double-sided paper, then it's even cuter than it's going to be today. But you can use one-sided. You can also print your own patterns. While we all know that the commercially printed stuff works out really good and it's very high quality, but if you have a decent printer, you can actually print your own patterns too. And then this is cover stock. Is that what? Yeah, cover stock. So it is a very heavy type of cardstock. So we have the lid, then we have one base. All right, so this is our base, and then these are all the pieces that we're gonna put together. And I'm actually going to flip this over because the way that I cut it bottom to top. Okay, so we can actually move all the smaller pieces out. What I wanna do is get to my squares so that I can show you how those are gonna go. These are all my little squares. And I tried to pick patterns that it didn't matter what order they went in. Okay, I mean, what direction. Okay, so that for me is important too because I don't always remember when I'm putting it back together. Okay, so basically guys, this is how it's gonna go. So you're gonna have the big box into the smaller box, into the smaller box, and then we're gonna put this right here in the middle. So see how cute that's gonna be? And you will soon, if you don't already, you will soon find out why they call it an explosion box. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fold these in. We're just kind of prepping everything right now. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to speed through this for you real quick, just so that you don't have to go through it and see all the boring steps. But these are our score marks that were cut. Those were included in the file. And I'm just gonna fold everything up and then we'll go back through it, okay? Okay, so those are folded. Now let's talk about this guy. Now this guy will also fold. We don't have to fold right away, but we do need to decide what is the inside and what is the outside. And the reason that is because I have some squares and I need to determine that all these squares are the same size except this set of squares here. This set is for the lid. And I did that intentionally. I wanted to have my pretty flowers on the lid, and I believe I'm going to use this one on the inside. So that will go on all four. And I made sure that these were perfectly square too, so it doesn't matter which way I put them. And then these will go on the outside, okay? So let's go ahead and put these on the inside. And again, I'm going to go ahead and fast forward through this just because it can take a little bit to get all of the tape runner on here. And I'm not securing as good as I can. You can always come back and add more tape than what I'm adding, but I'm just doing this quickly for you guys so that you can see just how easy these are to make. Okay, so we have completed both sides, and now what I can do is go ahead and fold. It just makes it easier if I go ahead and attach the pieces before I fold it. And if I had a nice thick pretty pattern cardstock, then I could actually skip this part, but I do like the fact that I can coordinate with the pattern papers that I'm using. Now let's go ahead and do the same for the lid. Now the biggest difference with the lid is that we are only going to do one side. Okay, so now it's time to fold the lid. Of course, we're gonna fold with our pattern on the outside, and you also have these tabs that will fold in. Okay, so you can fold the tabs first if it's easier, but then fold this part in. And then what we'll do is we will secure these again with some more tape, and we will fold in our corners just like this. Now guys, especially for this part, sometimes if this is going to be like a keepsake or something I'm giving as a gift or something like that, then I will use a stronger tape on these flaps right here, because this double-sided tape that I'm using, these tape runners, they don't always stick real well. They're fine for these layers here that we're working on, but just I've noticed on the lids that sometimes they will they'll come undone. So it could just be because, I mean, let's face it guys, this was like $1, okay? It's not super strong, but it's super fast, I know that much. Okay, so there's our lid. And just to show you the basics of how this is gonna work, this will fold up. Oh, I folded it the wrong way. The sides fold up, and this will keep it together. Okay, so it makes a little box, but what we're gonna do is go ahead and combine our layers. Now, this is a very simple explosion box, but there's actually a lot that you can do with these. You can add sentiments. You can add, little boxes with writing. You can add photos. I mean, there's really a lot that you can add to these to make them, super personalized and special. These are also great for gift cards. You can make little pockets. There's really, I just cannot tell you all the amazing things that you can do. I used to make these explosion boxes all the time. I used to have, and I would have to go back and dig it up from a long, long time ago, but I used to have this little baby booty that I would make, and it was perfect for baby showers. You can do little 3D wedding cakes in the middle, anything like that. And then I would create little pockets on here just using the same type of pattern paper and cover stock, and be able to add gift cards and those types of things. Okay, now this guy in particular, I would definitely probably try to add some hot glue or something like that. You can even leave this unattached on the inside. Let me make sure I get this centered. Okay, but guys, this is a very basic but very cute explosion box. And the reason why it's called an explosion box, if you didn't catch on already, is because when they open it, all right, so this is what it looks like from the outside. All right, so you could definitely add sentiments if you want to, but when you open it, then it pops open. It explodes. All right, so you can come in here and, kind of crease your fold lines a little bit more. That way you get a little bit more separation. There's really, a lot of cool things that you can do. But like I said, being able to add the gift cards and things like that, this is a really great way to spice up what could be seen as a very simple gift and turn it into something a little bit more special. So guys, how did you feel about our explosion box? Now, I think it turned out really cute. I'm really happy with all the colorful papers we were able to use. And guys, this is a project that I feel like, even though it's paper crafting, and I know that, we really live in a world where vinyl and t-shirts and apparel is kind of taken over, but these kind of projects are really close and very dear to my heart. I love making them, and I really feel like they have a lot of impact when you give them as a gift. And like I said, there's a lot of neat things that you can do with it, as far as, making these to go with your gift cards and making them for baby showers, and, even just using them with this type of little flower and candy project. And don't forget, I'm going to link that down below for you so that you can check out that project too. So make sure you leave any questions or comments below, guys. I love hearing from you. And of course, make sure you like, subscribe, and share. All the support that you show for the channel really goes a long way to help us keep bringing you these videos in the future. So I'm going to wrap it up for today, guys, but thanks again, and we'll see you again next time.